Hello legends and super legends, welcome to Veloharmony. Today's ride was a new route using some old roads. It was very intense, it was very long, basically a very hard ride. It was overcast, we had rain all week, so it was very humid, but the temperatures overall were low, but just sticky. So here we're rolling out of the parking lot with Team RR. I've got the camera, Paul's up ahead. Paul's left knee is still bothering him. So, you know, at some point in the ride at the breakaway, he went ahead and just let the group go because his leg was hurting when he's using the larger gears, especially when we're going into the wind. Like this route. We end up going, you know where Christian was all excited? On this ride, Paul and I headed out from Northampton. We got to the Woodlands. We picked up Team RR. The route that was used this week went in a southwesterly direction. From Sterling Ridge, we took the Hardin Store Road, went to Decker Prairie, cut the stagecoach, which ended up in Field Store. It was very, very fast in that part of the ride. We had a stop at a store right off the 1488, so we headed east on 1488. After that, cut through Old Hempstead Road, went across 1774 and got on 1486 here. We took that to Jackson Road. On Jackson Road, Victor attacked. I chased him and the two of us broke away from the group, and once we got into Moswing, the group, we regrouped and took 1488 back to the Woodlands. You see Doug on there. I guess he's the only one who also has a Relive account. There was a bunch of people on the ride. He wasn't the only one, but it shows up on there. I hope you guys enjoy the clips. It was a very interesting ride. Yeah, we're going in that general direction. That's Mary there. Mary likes to push a big gear. Yeah, you can see her cadence is pretty much non-existent. We're still having challenges with the Verb Edit software. Verb Edit has issues with displaying the maps, which you need to synchronize the data with the film. Hopefully they'll get it done because it's supposedly a financial issue now. I've been tracking them in the forums, and you're supposed to pay Google. It's pretty insignificant, the amount. I have API key on my website. I guess WordPress pays for that, but I don't understand what the deal is. They're not giving an ETA. They're real standoffish, even on the support really is not up to par. They don't give me any information, so I don't know. I'm glad I don't own a Verb Edit camera because that's why they made the software, although you can use it with any video. But it's not going to make me want to buy any Verb Edit products from Garmin because they don't support it. I mean, the software is what you need to synchronize GPS data with the film, so if it can't display a map, it's useless. So why would anybody invest in those products? So, you know, I've chatted with the support and it might as well, I don't know where the support is, but they don't seem to know what's going on. All they know is they have a ticket. But Google announced this 2 years ago. And so they just sat on their hands. I mean, it's kind of a joke. What is weird though, Garmin Connect works with the Google Maps and it still works. So I don't understand why it's only Verb Edit. But anyway, I made do and got the data as close as I could. But with the narration, I think we should be fine. It's nice having the data. I tried some other software, Race Render. I actually ended up buying it, thinking it was better. It's a pile of junk. It's more for cars than anything. So I went ahead and requested a full refund because I spent 2 hours on it and it's just not user-friendly. You know, I'm not sure what they're trying to accomplish, but they claim you can do cycling, hiking. It's just for cars. And so I've already put in a resolution through PayPal to get my refund. Because you have to buy the software. The trial version or Race Render is useless. Anyway, let's get to cycling. As a part of the ride, we're on Field Store Road. We're west of the Woodlands. We just crossed Dubbin's Huffsmith. We headed west. It's an overcast day, lots of wind. Mike's at the front. And this road is a 2-lane road. It's fairly busy, I guess. You know, I ride it sometimes to get to other places. I don't stay on it as long as we did in the group. Well, you see where Mary is? That's where I am. I'm behind Paul, who's holding the camera. I make sure I stay there. We're using half of the lane, so they have to move over, because if you don't, these geniuses will try to pass by your elbow. So you see where I'm sitting. When you're riding solo on a road like this, that's pretty much where you want to be. Now, if the queue up behind you, you can kind of move over a little, but you want them to cross that yellow line to pass. So we're moving pretty fast, and I realized that Mike has been up there for a while, and you know, I'm always paying attention to those details, and we're not exactly trading places. There's a car behind us. He's very patient. We ended up with a queue of cars, and at some point down the road, a few kilometers ahead, not a few, probably like 7 or 8 kilometers, we pull aside to let the cars by at the first intersection we come to. So at this point, I'm thinking about the fact that Mike does not have a relief, and we're moving. You can see the speeds. This is not the road to sit there and chat or have a conversation. So we're making the most of it, but realizing that he's been there for a while. In a little while, I decide to go up to the front. It's not an attack. I mean, it takes a lot of effort because we're doing 35, 37, 38 kilometers an hour. I ride up to the front to relieve him and just kind of slide right in front of him so he does not have to accelerate. Basically, just give him a wheel. It's a beautiful road. I mean, look how smooth it is. This Fieldstone Road goes all the way to a highway called 249, and it crosses. It connects to a road called Decker Prairie Road, which is a big cycling route. It's even in a book called Cycling in the Houston Area, a big book with routes, recommended routes for cyclists. So this is definitely a cycling route. This is where I move to the front. I'm using a fairly large gear. I'm probably in his 17 or 16 on the big chainring. I roll to the front and I just slide right there in front of Mike, so he doesn't have to accelerate. I lift the pace just slightly, so now he can catch his breath because he's been up there for a while. And all I do is I try to keep the effort consistent, because this road turns and it goes up and down slightly. So when it goes up, I downshift, keep the effort slight. You know, between 1%, 1 to 3% maybe. Mostly 1%. Right here is a little less than 1%. But we're going to where there's wind everywhere. The wind is blowing from the left. We can't really use the whole road. So we're not doing an echelon per se, but nobody's getting a perfect draft. You can see the jersey on Doug here flapping in the wind. If your kit fits you like that, that's a lot of drag. Your kit needs to be skin tight. I will show you the difference later in the ride. It becomes clear when I'm behind. You will see my kit versus Scott's, which catches a lot of wind like that. The speeds are high. I'm at the front, and I'm just keeping it consistent. We're going slightly downhill here. Now it's going back up. So it's up and down, and up ahead, coming up the tracks. So I'll let everybody know by waving my hand horizontally and just kind of like you swinging side to side to let people know there's an obstacle coming up across the road. And we do stand and coast over the railroad tracks. That's the norm. You don't want to ride over railroad tracks unless they're really perfectly smooth. Save your wheels. So right here, everybody's standing. These are not very level. You can see the little gaps. Gotta be careful and watch how you go across. You don't want to get your wheels caught in any of those gaps that may be vertical. Go across at 90 degrees to the horizontal gaps. You do the same thing with storm drains. You don't want your front wheel caught, you will fall. it will stop you right away. You have to do something special to avoid falling. So you can see they're not smooth. So we spread out, go across. I think in a little while there's a guy in a lawnmower. He's not using a mulching kit, so it's spraying all the clippings on the road. I think this is where it is. I let everybody know, so I move across the road. There's no car coming. I don't want any of that getting in my chain ring or anything. You can see that. I didn't want to get in my chain ring or my drivetrain, so I moved all the way across the road and then go back. The effort is high. You can see my heart rate. Zone 4. The effort's high. The people in the back get a bit of a break because you're not catching all the wind. I am staying fairly aero and keeping the kid. You see me up there. Mike is on my wheel. I stayed up there for quite a while. I was feeling good. I decided I'm gonna. I don't know why Mary's over there. I'm on the road, and now she has to come over because that thing ends. So I never rode where she was. I stayed on the road because I knew the pavement wasn't going to continue and the quality wasn't that good. You don't want to be going on and off. So she should have just stayed on. But, you know, since we're in the group, Doug behind her stayed on the road. So that was not that big a deal. We have cars queued up behind us. We're aware of that. They're aware of it. It's not safe for them to pass. So they were very patient. It ended up being, I think at the stop you'll see, I think the reason they were behaving themselves, there's an officer, a constable, that's also one of the cars behind us. That's probably why they were behaving themselves. He was the same guy that ended up clocking the group, and he told us on his loudspeaker that we're doing 23 miles an hour. He was on patrol somewhere further up the road. He passes up and he goes and he sits looking for speeders. Wind's picking up, keeping it steady. We're right around probably 19, 20 miles an hour. About 19, 18 right now. When you're at the front pulling, don't worry about the speed so much. Focus more on the effort if you want to keep the group together. All I'm trying to do is get us off this road quickly. It's a busier road than we're going to encounter the rest of the route. So I didn't want us, you know, lollygagging around here. You know, Mike had been up there for a while, so, you know, and I would point out where Mike remembers what happens and actually returns the favor later in the ride. It was kind of cool to see that, you know. So you build alliances that way. This is where we stop, and then Mark, who is in fourth position, I guess, with the light on his jersey, he tells us, why don't we stay and let the cars go by? Let's, you know, so I turn right into that little private drive. That's what he says, stopping to let the cars go by. So then they wave. That's the officer. So the officer was there. That's why they were behaving themselves. That's the guy who goes, he was going on patrol, and miles down the road he clocks us. So we're letting them go because they were queued up behind us. We just wait till everybody goes. There's like 2 more cars back there. I just decided to stand over there and wait. After this intersection, it's a lot quieter. So we take off after the last car passed. Mike's trying to clip in back there. I'm up ahead there. Mark is behind me. We're on Decker Prairie Road here. West of 249. We're actually going straight. I'm not sure they were joking around, telling somebody they need to go left, and you know that road does not really go anywhere. It dead ends on the left turn there. I end up back at the front. Mark had pulled for a little while, and he pulled off. Nobody really wanted to be at the front. I don't really mind if I'm feeling fine. I get to the front, but basically, when I get to the front, I pull at my pace. I pull at a pace that I'm comfortable with, and you need to keep that in mind. If the group is going at a pace that is very fast and you get to the front, you don't have to stay there for any appreciable amount of time. You can just pull through and go right back in the back and let somebody else do it. If the pace is something you can handle, then you can stay there for as long as you choose to. Since nobody wanted to really pull, and I had just pulled for quite a few kilometers back there, I went back to the front and just held my own pace. And Mark's on my wheel right now. So that's Scott. Scott is getting in front of Chris. That's Chris right there. And Randy's on Chris's wheel, and this is Doug. And they decided to ride up to us because we were a little ways ahead. When you're sitting at the front, don't give your all, because if somebody in the group decides to go faster and the group decides to go along with that person, you want to have something left to stay with the group. So don't feel like you have to stay at the front. Pull for a little while, whatever works for you, and pull off, let somebody else help. That's the thing. That's the whole point of being in the group. Don't sit in the group the whole ride, not pulling, and then you want to sprint at the end. I mean, it's just like, what's the point? Because you're not going to get a great workout if you just sit in the group. You might as well go to the front and taste the wind. It makes you a better rider. It's a group ride, it's not a race. So pull, get through, get the workout, get home tired. Even if they attack and you can't go with them, at least you got the workout. That's what matters. It'll be in the bank. So by pulling, I'm increasing my ability to carry a high pace. So it benefits me. If all you do is sit in, you're not going to be stronger than the people who are in the wind, because you're working at a lower intensity when you're in the pack. This is where I talk about where Mike comes to the front to return the favor. Because I've been pulling for a while. He's aware of that. And he's aware that nobody wanted to go up there. You can see he just slides right in front of me. I just slip onto his wheel. I didn't even have to change my cadence. In fact, my cadence went down. You know, that's what I'm talking about. That's pulling. He came through to take his lead at the front because he realized there was an impetus. I've been there for a while. Maybe he wanted to lift the pace. Didn't matter the reason. But when you're pulling the group, that's what you do. You slip to the front. It's different than when you attack. When you attack, you open a gap. And that's fine. You can do that too. But if all you want to do is sit in and then attack, you're not going to be very popular. They may not say anything to you. Most groups won't. But they'll be aware that all you're doing is sitting in. So you need to take your share of the work. Then when you attack, it means something. We did not stop to regroup until after this turn, until after we got to an area called Field Store. There were 3 or 4 riders that were split from us. They ended up being up the road at a Shell station that took a different turn. Right here, we're at the break in Field Store at a convenience store. That's Highway 1488 over there. This is Chris.
Good morning.
It doesn't get any better than this.
That's right.
Chris is having fun. That's what it's all about. And Scott, that's Scott giving directions on choices of the route going back. I sped it up here because we were there for a bit. He was just basically letting people know if you want to cut it shorter, you go straight. If you want to get blah, blah, blah miles, you use this one. And so Chris was asking me about the channel over there. I was just kind of letting him know what the channel was about. This is when we're getting ready to roll. Everybody got water and whatever they needed.
It's almost ready. Is it on?
Yeah, it is on.
Hey, if I was pulling when we went by the cops, we would have got freaking speeding tickets.
That's Mike.
Oh, man.
Mike, the cops clocked us at 23 miles an hour. That guy that passed us earlier. So Mike was saying if he had been pulling, we would have been stopped for speeding. You know, he's a funny guy. So we're heading east here on Highway 1488, which takes us towards Magnolia. It's a cloudy, overcast day. For some reason, look at the sky. Look how beautiful that is. So we have very little light from the sun. And this camera is set to high resolution, so when there's low light, it struggles. But I love what it did with the pictures.
Yeah.
The wind is coming from the right and in our face, but more from the right than anything. You can see the road has damp spots. We've had thunder showers. None of it rained on us while we're riding. We missed them because basically spot up showers in different sections of town. Since I had done a lot of pulling early in the ride, at this point, I made sure that when we stopped, I had banana bread with me. I ate that and made sure I was topping up my energy stores. You got to make sure that you don't fall behind because it's hard to catch up. You don't want to run on empty when you need to go hard. So I had banana bread, and then I think 30 minutes into this, after the stop, I had a gel. I carry a gel for about every hour. I think I'm going to be riding hard. So a 5-hour ride, I'll carry 3 gels thereabouts. The clock is not right on the time up there because it's probably 8 something. I'm not sure what was going on with we're having all kinds of challenges with the verb edit software. I'm hoping to get it sorted out. They required us to upgrade to the latest version so they can even talk to you. And the latest version is creating a lot of inconsistencies in the display versus my actual data. So, the clock says 6:24. It's not 6:24. So I guess 2 hours behind.
You should have done what Randy did. Get in front of him.
We're waiting for 2 ladies. That's Mark going to the front to let people know to kind of soft pedal because they had been up the road at a Shell station, but they had taken a different route after they split from us earlier in the ride. Well, Randy saw us coming, and so he turned ahead of our group. So he's up at the front. What I was telling Paul is they should have turned with Randy, but they ended up turning behind us. And at our pace, they got gapped again. So they're still back there. That's what Mark's looking to see where they are. Just telling everybody to let them catch on. So I told him, I said, they should have turned with Randy. That way, when you're trying to catch onto a group, if you're not able to ride up to the group, make sure you turn ahead of the group. And you don't have to chase. That's what Randy did. He's sitting at the front right now, and they're back there. So we're just kind of coasting and let them catch up here. Now everybody's here. The ladies are here. Everybody's together. And we'll split up again in a little while because they're going to go straight because they're taking a shorter route back. We're taking a longer route. Look at my profile compared to most other riders. I think a lot of riders sit too high. And they end up having numb hands because if your stem is too short and too high, the bars are not allowing your hands to stretch out. Meaning it's meeting your hand too early, so it's pushing back against you. Keep that in mind. You get numbness in your hands. They come from so many different sources. Definitely fit related. The bars should be right at the full extension of your arm without your elbows being locked. That keeps you in a more aerodynamic position. I will show this when Victor attacks and I chase him and we break away at the end. I will show you that my body position does not change when I'm out of the saddle sprinting. I don't even have to think about it. It's just a natural thing the way my body just settles where it normally needs to, and it turns out to be a very aerodynamic position. I'm actually in the drops when I bridge up the Victor. No point in sitting higher than you need to because you will be more uncomfortable anyway. Mary has a good position. I chatted with her about going easy on the gears. She agreed. We didn't go any further with that. I just mentioned to her, I said, your gear choices are you're running out of gears too early, and then your cadence is so slow, so when we pick up the pace, you're struggling and you end up downshifting again. I said, just find a moderate gear in the first place and just spin it faster or slower. In a short while, we come to the split off point where those who are going back the direct way will stay on this highway. Those of us who wanted to do a little more, we're going to turn left, probably about 1 kilometer away. That's Mike pulling off. I'm not sure what's going on with him. Pulling off, going to go back. I'm sitting in the wind intentionally. Keep my effort up a little bit. I don't like for my heart rate to get too low in a group ride, so keeping my engine warm. Wind's in our face and from the right.
Getting you side profile.
Paul telling Victor that he's getting him from the side. It's a Velo S5, a beautiful bike. Look at that, you can see the zip even though the wheel's spinning. That's nice. It's a good design, man.
Seeing if I can hit 60 feet.
It's got the white color. When you buy them, they ask you if you want white or black decals. Those are very visible. They're nice wheels. His are very quiet, so maybe they've made some changes. I don't know. The ones I had were noisy, especially when sprinting. I change those every year, so I'm sure they've tweaked something. Paul's there with the camera behind Mark. Now we're turn's coming up. It's the sign we just passed. So we're gonna be turning left. Mary and Davis and I believe Randy and a couple other people are gonna go straight. I think Chris is gonna go straight. We're checking for traffic because we're gonna be turning. There's a car back there. I let him know we're gonna be turning. It was behind the group. He was waiting. We turned and we stopped briefly to make sure people understood who was going where. The ladies are gonna go straight on this road, 1488 that we just turned off.
That's right.
So Paul was saying that we should have gone straight. We talked about it briefly, but that's why he's calling me. And we ended up deciding to go with these guys.
I know Maurice went straight, and I think Randy went with him.
We're supposed to go straight, man. That's the point of going straight.
We're supposed to go straight?
Yeah.
No, we weren't supposed to go straight.
You can go home that way.
Yeah, that was the option, wasn't it?
No, yeah, but you can go around this way and still just go through the
Oh,
neighborhood.
Chris is here. I thought Chris went straight. That's Chris right
Davis?
there.
Is that Davis right there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ladies
Yeah.
went straight. We saw them go straight. And we chat about it. We decided we're just gonna go. It's a few extra
It
miles.
basically does a U and it comes back out to 1488.
Okay.
That's what Scott is explaining.
Right. So, if you want to take a more direct path back, the most direct is to go that way. It'll add an extra mile or two if you go this way. It'll add an extra 10 miles if you go up 1486 in Jackson.
So it was only gonna add a few miles.
Do you want to take an extra 2 maybe?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's go this way.
An extra 5 kilometers, I figured. We'll just stay.
I think she went straight.
Ended up being a nice route going back than staying on that highway. This is a neighborhood and the roads are beautiful.
Mike's on Mike's here.
So the consensus is all of us here are gonna go this way. You pick up 2 to 3 extra miles. It's clear. It's a 4-way stop sign. It's a quiet neighborhood. Road's nice. Just smooth pavement. That's Scott up there. I'm not sure what the guys are talking about, but you can see everybody's having a good time.
Now you see it. Now
This
you
is the
know.
calm before the storm.
Yeah. That's a
Spanish brand.
I think it's Italian.
Cara.
And we kind of just do this by feel. We stopped over there, we discussed the route, we're kind of rolling away. You just kind of see what people are doing now. We got Paul H going up there. I think Paul could use a reduction in that saddle height. His knee accelerates on the downstroke, which is a sign that it's a bit high. I'm in at 53.19 or something like that. I can tell by just the position of the chain. That's a gear that's perfect for the situation right now. We're not going that hard. But it doesn't take much for the guys up there end up creeping away. You'll see in a little bit. I think Mark goes up there. Once we start to exit this neighborhood, ended up just being a beautiful loop. I even told Paul about it. I said this would be a nice loop for training.
I don't know. Yeah.
The Rafa Bib Shorts 2 performed just great. I basically just paid them no mind, which is what you want from your shorts. They just did their job, quietly disappeared. I didn't give them a thought. That's always a sign that they're working right. So Mark goes up there. I'm not really that concerned because my thing is that I know I've topped off my energy stores and I can bridge up to anything that comes up. So right now we're just kind of chilling here and they're rolling off the front. And then I think Victor will join them when they get a good gap. And I sit and I watch everything happen because I kind of wanted to see how much effort it would take for me to close it. We ended up chasing for quite a while. And this happens in every group. There's always going to be people sneaking away up the front like that. So if you're concerned about it and you don't want to chase, make sure you stay up there. Because if you're going to stay with a group, it's a lot easier to just stay there. If you stay behind, you're going to have to work hard to catch back up. So just keep that in mind. I'm staying back here intentionally because I want to do a lot of work. Saturdays are one of my hardest days of the week. Wednesday and Saturdays are the days I like to go home. And sometimes on Sunday. Since we're not really riding hard, my cadence is probably, it says 61, I think it's maybe 70, close to 70. You see they're starting to go faster. And Paul and I are just chatting right now. Everybody's talking. That's Chris and Mike back there. Victor's behind him. You can't see him. Or did he already pass me? Let me see. Yeah, I think he did. He did. That's Victor up there. He passed me when Paul turned the camera around. Just a beautiful loop. That's what I'm saying. You don't have to go far. So, if you live in a place like this is a neighborhood. I mean, look at this road. A few stop signs, but beautiful rolling terrain. You can get a good workout out here if you know what you're doing. Look at this sky. Just beautiful. You see the boys are up the road. And in a little bit, that cyclist going the other way. This road is called Ranch Crest Road. It takes us to a road called Old Hempstead Road that will dump us on 1774 for maybe a tenth of a mile, and then we hit 1486. So Mike picks up the pace. I said, okay. I figure we're gonna work, but then he doesn't maintain it very long. See, the power's off, so I go ahead and pull through. The kind of engine I have, once I get it going, I want to just keep going. The road is slightly downhill. My heart rate's gonna have to catch up. I don't think it's 105. It might be 120 or something like that. You see the guys in the distance there. It's slightly further than it is. It's kind of like with the wide angle on the camera. They're not too far away. But right now I'm chasing. I'm probably riding at about 32 kilometers an hour. Because of our sync problem, the speed's off. And you can tell by the camera angle, Paul is close. We're going hard. Wind's coming from in our face and from the right. So Paul is over on the left. We ended up on this chase. It ends up just being Paul and I. But up the road, probably about 3 kilometers or so up the road, there's a left turn that puts us on, I think it's the name of the road. I gotta find it. The road is called Thomas Lane or something like that. It's a jig that gets us to 1774. This is a climb right here. I'm going faster than 17 kilometers an hour. So I'm not going full gas. I'm in my sweet spot. Probably top of zone 3. That's my most aero position on the bike right there. On the hoods with my elbows bent. Get my forearms at about 90 degrees with the road.
Come back.
We're turning left here. Thomas Lane.
I don't know.
Back straighter.
I asked Scott where they're headed, and he proceeds to explain to me how we're getting back.
Montgomery, but then we'll turn right onto Jackson Road. Come down and come south of Jackson Road.
Let's go ahead and go with them, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think? Just sit in. Because you rode an extra 10 miles, so we'll have an extra 20 after this. We'll probably have 100 miles. So let's do it. Let's go.
This will give you some hills. Because it's been a pretty flat ride.
So since we rode from the house, I was telling Paul, just sit in,
You guys went straight?
because we're going to pick up more kilometers
Everybody's here.
going with these guys.
So everyone that made that
All right,
left
let's do it.
Yeah, let's just sit in. We'll use up the film. We'll put it up. And we just ride and just take it easy. Sit in. Okay, come on. That'll be a nice long ride.
Paul ended up doing almost 100 miles, I believe. I ended up doing like 90 something,
Yeah, that's cool.
143 kilometers.
That's
I think he's got 160 something, because he rode from his house to my
We're gonna hit
house,
the road after this.
then rode back home after this ride. So that's another
I'm going to west.
20 kilometers.
I'll be okay.
I offered to
I gotta
drive him
head out to
home from my
Breakaway
house, but he
this
said nah,
afternoon.
he was going to spin home.
Yeah.
So we'll go across the tracks here on Thomas Lane, and this connects to, this is 1774. It's a farm to market road. There's a lot of construction and laying down new pavement. We're on it for just a jig. We turn, and then there's a left turn right there. So some of the guys make it across. right there, they're gone, but I end up letting these guys know we need to stop. There's not enough room there. Cars coming.
I came out here on the Sunday.
Yeah.
I was telling you about it.
Yeah. This is the exact road that I take to go to Waco.
Okay.
I take Highway 6 over there.
Sun plate.
So this light changes, but it's unprotected.
Careful, guys. Wait.
So I told him to wait, because Victor and that guy make it across, and there's one or two other people up there that didn't catch the red light either. So we just wait, because there's an unprotected left turn. This will put us, that highway we're turning on is 1486. Lots of climbing. The route was very deceiving. It seems flat, but it wasn't. We ended up climbing almost 550 meters. 1,600 feet.
Yeah, this is a continental route, man.
Paul said he's been out here when he was on the Continental Airlines team. So the guys are up the road in little groups up there. And right here, I decide it's time to start working. The kind of engine I have, the longer the ride, the stronger I get. The duration is not displayed because of the sync problems, but this is well over 3 hours into the ride. It's after 10 o'clock in the morning, the sun's coming out, all that overcast stuff is burned away. And right here I proceed to catch up to these guys because we've got some long climbs coming up. I want to catch them before we get to the climb.
That's okay, man. Yeah, I got you.
That's why I offered Paul a ride home from my house. He said, no, it's okay. So I went over the little reflectors. That's what I was dodging. I didn't want to ride directly over them. I'm doing more than 24 kilometers an hour. I'm probably doing about 36, 37 to catch those guys up there. This is slightly downhill. I believe we exceeded 40 kilometers on this stretch. I kept it kind of steady and gradually edged the speed up there. I can't wait till this sync issue is solved or where Garmin gets this thing resolved. I wish somebody else had a comparable software of the quality they produce. This is the best one out there. It's too bad that they're dragging their feet on a simple API key issue with a Mac. It's weird. So it's inconsistent. Sometimes the sync is closed, sometimes it's not. So yeah, I'll catch up to these guys. That's Scott. Go around him. Doing close to 40 kilometers now. I want to catch up to the guys in the front. That's the way you do it. So right here the catch is made. I was using a 5317 or 5316. They asked if everybody's here, and that's what Paul said. We're here, keep going. I thought everybody's here, let's do this. That's what my 6-year-old, soon to be 7, says. Let's do this. I reach for a drink, slip that bad boy back in. I And we're cruising around probably 32 kilometers an hour thereabouts. When we go up the climb, it drops to maybe 28 or 30. And the road goes up, depending on the grade, of course. The sync is off. My cadence is not 69. It's higher than that. It's in the 80s. Road goes up here. All I do is I increase my cadence because I know that we've got more climbs coming and we've got Jackson Road. Jackson Road will be going into a headwind, and Jackson Road has about 12 to 15 minutes of non-stop riding. Scott has a flat, must have hit a rock or something. So we pull over here. He's behind us. We just heard psst.
That was a quick flat.
There's a construction going on right there. They're building a bypass, a loop. Mark told us about. So Scott's down there. That's where Paul filmed. He's off in the grass. He had a driveway close by. I'm not sure why he didn't go there. So we get that sorted and we resume riding. It was a quick repair. Scott was done in a few minutes. And this is the road 1486 that will take us to Jackson Road. There are a lot of climbs on it. There are also a lot of little pebbles just on the shoulder scattered over the road. Because of that construction here, when they're hauling stuff, it just drops on the road and the cars blow up to the side. Could have been what caused this flat. Hard to say. So Victor's in front of me. Paul's behind me with the camera. That's Doug in front of Victor. I believe, see who's pulling. I think it's Mike. Yeah, it's Mike. Mike is pulling right now. I actually prefer that people take shorter poles because the group has gotten smaller, and I think we're down to about 7 riders. 7 or 8. So usually it's better to take shorter pulls so everybody gets their chance to get up there and share the work. Because if you stay up there too long and then somebody changes the pace, sometimes you can't respond. Your body's just a little tired since you just got through pulling for a long time. So you really have to know what you've got left. When I'm at the front, I'm well aware of keeping something to go with moves. When someone stays at the front very long in a group ride, I really don't like to attack. Because I like to give that person a chance to get back in and catch their breath. But you know, it's your responsibility to gauge your effort and know how long you stay up there. Because really anything goes. So if somebody changes the pace and you've been up there too long, you might end up riding along. And you'll see that come past shortly. So Mike is still up there. So at this moment he's feeling great, I guess. And that's the thing, the way you feel during a ride changes. One moment you can feel good, the next moment you don't feel so good. You guys know that you guys have been out there. It's up and down. So when you're feeling great, save something and spread it out. And by all means, if the pace is comfortable for you, sit up there as long as you want. But just always keep in the back of your mind that if the pace increases, am I going to be able to go with moves? That's what you got to keep in the back of your mind. I'm staying pretty much right on the white line as much as possible. The wind's coming from the right and in our face. I don't want to ride the edge of this pavement per se. There's a lot of little rocks. Well, I think cause the flat I mentioned earlier. So I'm trying to use a piece of the main lane. The road's not that busy. Every now and then we get a car. So Paul's coming to the right here to slow himself down because that's into the wind. Because the pace is changing, there's an ebb and flow, so you gotta roll with that. It looks like that was Scott. I thought it was Mike. That was Scott that was pulling. Mike was behind him. Okay. Scott took a long pull. Yeah, that was Scott. My mistake. And then Mike takes over. Mike's on his bars. These are climbs that we're going up. There might be 1 to 3%. You can see the road going up. And the gears that we're using, you feel them. This ride ended up being a hard ride. Drinking before I get thirsty. I'm not thirsty. I want to make sure that I don't get thirsty. So out of habit, every time the pace stutters per se, I grab a bottle or something. And I monitor my energy levels. My energy levels feel great, and I just drink out of habit. You guys can see me driving the pedals. If you look at my torso, it's steady. That's what you're looking for. Your hips should not be rolling. Your legs should go up and down like pistons, and your hips should just remain stable. If you're rolling right and left, then your saddle's too high. If you feel like you're reaching at the bottom of the stroke, it's too high. You shouldn't reach. They should be there. The guy that I'm helping, Jimmy, in Indonesia, has finally reached a point in the fit. I'm helping him with remote fit. He signed up for the service. He's light years ahead of everybody else in terms of what he's been able to accomplish in a week with the guidance that we provide. and he thanked me for the videos that I gave, because the videos I've made are very good, but there are little things that are not in there that once they're pointed out, you get an aha moment. So he's finally reached the point where now he wants me to review his fit on the saddle. I think he's there. When I'm finished with this narration, I will reply and look at his pictures. He videotapes himself and puts it on the Google Drive I set up for him. That's how we support people. But the point I'm trying to make is, in about a week, he's accomplished more than people accomplish in decades if they don't know what they're doing. So if you're trying to do it yourself and you don't seem to be making progress, get some professional help instead of going through years of discomfort and pain. You know, there are a lot of guys on here like Simon Moses that's early in the channel. When he went ahead and got a fit. You know, spend the money on the fit. It's a lot less expensive as one time, because your pain is worth more than any wheels you can buy or anything. Your comfort is key. Without you being comfortable, you're not going to go fast. Oh, the time is correct all of a sudden on this clip. So that's the inconsistency we're dealing with. Now it says 3:51:22. So this clip synced, the other one did not properly. That's the stuff Garmin's trying to clear up. I can't sync all the clips without the map. That's the problem. And they're not displaying the map, Google Maps. They pulled their access. I tapped Mike on the back because he's done a lot of pulls in this ride. Those of you remember, he was pulling. I went to the front early on to relieve him. Then he came back to relieve me. And he's just always at the front. Well, he's getting a great workout. Good for him. So I just tapped him on the back. I didn't have to say anything when I went by. And also Scott. Scott did a lot of pulling on this ride also. You know. So since Paul is just trying to get back, Paul didn't do that much pulling. I mean, after the breakaway, I see what he was filming in the clip, and he's pulling. We're going very fast here. We're going downhill. It's a slight downhill. 45 kilometers an hour. So on a long ride, even when you're going downhill, you don't want to be spinning too high a cadence that will get you out of breath. I'm keeping my cadence between 90 and 100. So I shift the coordinate to accomplish that. Just to wrap up what I was saying about fit. Simon Moses got a fit. There's a bunch of people on here got a fit. Got a bunch of local people that come here. I set up a remote fit because a lot of people ask for it. They watch the video and they're like, you know what? I still don't get what I'm supposed to do when this is bothering me. And that's what they get out of that. And I made it very comprehensive to where there's a questionnaire you fill out on the website and everything. So Jimmy is almost there. So now, starting tomorrow, we're going to start doing his cockpit. Now we've done the saddle, you know. So he wants me to review how everything looks. But the bottom line, and I'm going to tell him that, is really more to the fact that you focus on how things feel, not so much how they look. If they feel good, you're fine. That's what matters. Doesn't matter what system someone may be using, whether it's a fit kit or red tool. They're just tools. I don't use any of that because it's not necessary. If you do enough fits, you can just spot the little nuances. So kudos to Jamie for being able to get it there, because you have to be able to make minor adjustments on your frame and your bike to be able to, your seat pulls, handlebars and so forth, to be able to take advantage of the remote fit. Now Doug sat up there for quite some time as well. Doug's one of the guys, he does a lot of pulling too. So I don't know if he comes off the front of Victor, accelerates on the last climb, but we end up going around him, I think, somewhere here, right before Jackson Road. I think after this little turn, There's one more climb and then we get to Jackson Red. So just focus on your comfort on the bike. If you're not comfortable, get it addressed, because you will just exacerbate the problem. As you begin to ride more, you will have more issues coming up. Short rides don't tell you a whole lot. It's when you ride long that you find all these little niggling problems. This is where Victor goes around Doug. Because Doug never pulled out. Victor basically changed the pace here. We're going up a climb at 33 kilometers an hour. It's almost 4 hours into the ride. We're going into the wind, up the hill, like we're on a flat road. This is why I tell people that it doesn't matter whether it's 1%, 2%, 3%. It's the gears you ride that make the difference. You ride the right gears, you can go do a mountain climb, even if you live in an area like this. The Dutch can climb, they don't have hills. They ride the wind. So here I look for traffic and then I turn to keep my speed. I take the other side, there's no car coming. So I use that to carry my speed. Because I know this road here, it's a Strava segment starting from here, pretty much. So people don't like to slow down. I went and looked it up after the ride because Scott told me it was a Strava segment. There's Scott, he rolls to the front. This is a little before the breakaway. So we've been riding hard all ride, so I roll up to him. I didn't back off because I didn't want to chase anybody. We're going directly into the wind. And remember, Scott had been pulling on that highway for quite some time. So I was kind of surprised that he was back at the front, actually. I take another drink. If you notice, I'm in the drops because we're going into the wind and I want to take maximum advantage of the draft, and I'm staying low so I don't have to work so hard. And I'm staying really close to Scott. If somebody says car back, we just kind of hold our line. There are two cars coming. One is a pickup truck. He lives here, and he comes on the opposite side of the road to turn into his driveway, which I thought was kind of weird. He could have just waited. It didn't take us that long. You'll see it in a little bit. There he is. He's turning left. The signal's on. He could have just waited. But he's on the opposite side. So now this guy thought he was passing. So now he had to pass. I mean, he had plenty of room. I'm like, that's not a brilliant decision. Just sit behind us and wait. I mean, it takes us a few seconds to go past that driveway. This road goes up and down, and we're going directly into the south wind. I'm probably in a 17 and on the big chain ring. My cadence is down because I'm actually behind Scott. But what I want you to look at is look at my jersey on my rib cage and look at Scott's. You will see Scott's jersey flapping in the wind. That's drag. Right there. Your jersey needs to fit you tighter than that. There shouldn't be anything flapping. You can see my jersey, there's nothing flapping, and you will see when I chase down Victor. All of that makes a difference. If the wind's flapping something, that's drag. In a little while, I believe Mike comes back to the front. You guys know Mike had been pulling for a while. I guess he felt like we were going kind of slow, so we're doing like 35 thereabouts. It says 37 on the screen. I think we're doing about 35. Because when Victor went, it was like 43 to 45 kilometers an hour. So Mike comes to the front, picks up the pace. You can tell he picks up the pace. Look at my legs. As soon as he goes around, watch the action of my body. I start to pedal faster. I don't shift. I just turn whatever gear I'm in faster. he changed the speed. You see, 44K. It's gonna slow back down because there's another climb right there. It's gonna slow down. I'm pointing out obstacles because Mike is on his bars and he's not going to be able to point anything out. But I know this road, so I stay by the white line as much as possible because it's clean there. There's a lot of broken pavement. And Victor goes right here. Now watch, I don't shift. I look back for traffic and I go. I kick it by the yellow line. Give it the gas. Hop back to the white line. And I'm on Victor in no time. You have to make your decision quickly. Watch my body. I'm still aero even though I'm out of the saddle. That's important. So you don't have to work super hard. And I don't even have to think about that. My body just retains that position. All I do is raise my body off the saddle. And because these guys were set on their pace, they couldn't lift the pace. And we start to open the gap up there. As soon as I get up to Victor, I'm up there already. I get to Victor. If you watch my cadence, it goes down a little bit as I get up to him. But then I just pulled through and started pulling to let him know I was there. And we ended up riding right around between 39 to 42 kilometers an hour into the wind for the rest of this stretch, which was about the next 12 minutes. And these guys never caught us. We were grouped at a store. I mean, after the railroad tracks would slow down to wait for them, but they never caught us. That was it. There was no organization back here, and you'll see it. We may seem close, but we're not. Right now, we're trading places. And Scott tells Paul to pull. Paul comes through. I think he should have pulled shorter. He should have pulled off and let somebody come back around because his knee was already bothering him. So right here, he took a pull really hard, and then when he pulled off, those guys came around him and he couldn't even get on their wheel. So he probably should have just pulled through for maybe 5 to 10 seconds and pulled off. So the next time, maybe that's what we'll try, is let Victor go and then we'll work together and catch him and show that on film, because they needed some organization in the back. And that's us going. We're pretty much going down the road. That was what we did on Saturday. I'm going to let this run so you can see the boys come around Paul. Paul pulled for too long, in my opinion. It should have been a shorter pull. Now they come around him, and he's not able to get in the draft. He said his knee was hurt. He has an old injury from soccer, the left knee. So he just let them go here. But they weren't able to close that gap. Victor opened it up, and he and I rode together. After a few pulls, he came to the front. I let him just sit there. He seemed to be more comfortable on his bars, sitting at the front, so I just kind of shadowed him all the way. But that was what we did on Saturday. I hope you all got a chance to get out there and get your K's in. Keep those doctors fired.